Alright, welcome back. Kumasawa-san, together with Shannon-chan, bowed and pushed the serving cart away. It was pretty funny to watch Goda-san, who looked like his show had totally been stolen, explain in a serious voice that we would be having calf steak for dinner. Kumasawa-san, thanks for doing that back there. As she pushed the serving cart, Shannon bowed her head very deeply. Ho ho ho, I haven't done anything that requires thanks. Kumasawa-san may have played dumb, but she had obviously understood and saved Shannon in the nick of time. Back when Battler had asked about dessert, Shannon had unfortunately hesitated. The worst crime. There may have been several ways to dodge the question, but all of them would have required some quick wits. Are you saying that Shannon doesn't have quick wits? That's a bit rude. Shannon, who hesitated when hard pressed for a response, was always suffering because of this small weakness. If only Shannon had a little more of the craftiness needed to cleverly shake off a mistake, like Goda, her life would have been a bit easier. The fact that she could perform other tasks flawlessly made this weakness even more unfortunate. However, there were some who understood Shannon's honest nature, her inability to gloss over a mistake and draw attention away from it. That was why Kumasawa had smoothly come to her rescue. I just heard from Genji-san that there will be a change in the afternoon shifts. I believe you were given a break until this evening. Ho ho ho, I'm jealous. Huh? Oh, sorry, I haven't checked the shift chart yet. Ah yes. I was thinking I might start cooking some mackerel in the oven. Delicious mackerel. If you don't mind, I would be happy if you would come help out a bit before your break. Ah yes, I would be delighted to help. To Shannon, Kumasawa was like a mother among the servants. The dining hall needed to be cleaned up, so we were chased out. Instead, tea was being served in the parlour. Apparently, they'd prepared the black tea that Aunt Rosa had brought for Aunt Natsuhi. Maria said she also wanted to have some black tea, but my old bastard said she couldn't and told us children to go play outside. Well, that's a bit rude. Battler-kun, why don't we all go for a walk outside? Go ahead and take a look at the roses or something. But keep a close eye on the weather. The sky's still clear, but the weather report kept on talking about rain. Ooh! I want to go to the beach! The beach! Oh, that sounds wonderful. Playing on a sandy beach isn't something you get to do often, is it? Ah, good point. Okay, let's all go to the beach then. Ooh, let's go, let's go. Maria, be careful not to get your clothes wet. Or your shoes. Oh, she's such a killjoy. Ooh, won't get wet. Giggle. That obedience is so cute. Battler-kun, make sure you keep an eye out for Maria-chan, okay? Sure, leave it to me. Hey, you're pretty obedient and cute yourself listening to Kirie like that. You shut your pie hole, you old bastard. Why don't you also listen to me obediently for a change? Ha! Hell no. Let's go everyone, come on. The children flew out of the parlour. They were replaced by Genji, who pushed a serving cart in and prepared to serve the tea. The parlour was filled with a sublime aroma, which delighted everyone while they waited to sate their thirst. Ha 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 ha. Ha. Rudolph's family certainly seems close. It's a wonderful thing. Quit it. We're no match for your family, Aniki. That's true. You've raised Jessica-chan to be so adorable. I imagine that's yet another fruit of your talents at education and training, Natsuhi-ne-san. Thank you, Natsuhi answered coldly. The conversation broke off then, and the parlour fell silent. Maybe Hideyoshi couldn't bear the silence because he broke it himself with an exaggerated gesture. Still, they sure do grow fast. I thought they'd be kids forever, but they start getting huge all of a sudden and then they're adults like us. Battler-kun looks like a completely different person now. His body has grown much bigger, but he's still just a kid. Though you could also say the same about my husband. Oh ho ho, shots fired. I wonder where the border between child and adult is. I still don't feel as though I've grown up. Humph, isn't that pitiful? That's not something the mother of a child should say. That's right. We're not children anymore. We're all adults now. So I wish we could talk together on an intellectual level rather than an emotional one. Never. When Eva smiled with sharp sarcasm, everyone seemed to get more tense. I wonder why. It felt as though that pleasant tea aroma had been tossed out the window. Since long ago, we've always endeavoured to engage in intellectual conversations. It seems your sarcasm occasionally misses the mark, just as it always has. Oh, what is it you've always endeavoured to do? My. I wish I could wrap those words up and send them to this room a few decades ago. Oh ho ho! Right, Rosa? ... Rosa gave a vague smile. She knew that whether she agreed or disagreed, she'd earned the displeasure of one of her siblings. It was a bit of worldly wisdom that had been essential for someone growing up as the youngest sibling. Quit it, Aniki. We'd better get started on our main topic while the brats aren't around. Let us make that our intellectual discussion. As Rudolph glanced over the faces of all present, some let out a slight sigh, and some let a small look of resignation cross their face. They were approaching their unavoidable, true agenda. Last year, his life expectancy was estimated at about 3 months, which I guess means he's got negative 9 months left now. Should we take that to mean it might suddenly happen at any time? The family head is still alive and well. The fact that you'd bring up such an inappropriate topic under the light of day makes me doubt your sanity, Rudolph-san. Still, Natsuhi-san, this is the sort of thing you can't put off until after something happens. He's still healthy now, which makes this the perfect time to talk about this, while we've still got time to plan. It's just a bit of financial etiquette, you might say. It seems father is the focus of everyone's concern. Dr. Nanjo, could we hear the details from you? That appears to be what everyone else is waiting for, after all. ... Cough. Nanjo, who had been standing by the window and staring out at the rose garden, let out a single cough when he realized that he was being called. Dr. Nanjo, how is father's condition? Well, to begin, allow me to start with a revision, since my estimate last year that he had only 3 months left was not borne out. Clearly. No need to explain. You're saying that measuring remaining life is only a prediction, not a promise, right? That is correct. Because of that, while I will accept everyone's repeated questions, I can by no means confirm when he will pass away. A human's life is supported by their body and their mind. If the body is weak, the situation becomes more dangerous, but if the mind is strong enough to compensate for that weakness, the effects of one's condition can sometimes remain in a subdued state. So you're saying that even if his body is weak, his mind is still firm and spirited. Yeah, we've seen that. Rude. Kitty, sorry, but please stay quiet for a bit. I'm sorry. Rude. That is correct. Kinzo-san's body is being overwhelmed by the demon of ill health. This will hold especially true as long as he continues to partake of such strong alcohol. So he's in a crisis now because he drinks. And maybe he's lived this long because he drinks. There's Dad for you, the heavy drinker. Well then, Doctor, I know you can't give anything more than a prediction, but what do you think about Father's chances of living until this day next year? That's quite a rude question to ask about the family head. Like how she keeps referring to him as the family head and not father. Natsuhi jumped on Eva, not even bothering to hide her astonished expression. Eva stared back daringly, but Hideyoshi realized what was going on and tried to smooth things over with a forced smile. Ah, Natsuhi-san, forgive her. Eva, choose your words a bit more carefully, okay? I'm sorry. I was just so concerned about Father's condition. Giggle? Yeah, she totally was. Is that so? I hadn't realized. Dr. Nanjo, please tell us. For the sake of the beautiful love of a daughter worried about her father's lifespan. Sure. Kraus laughed sarcastically, and Eva, smiling sweetly, returned an identical chuckle. You ask whether he will still be healthy next year. But as a doctor, it is very hard to say. Because while I do think this lull in his condition will continue for a while, if he suffers some kind of fit, there may be nothing we can do. After all, Dokkenjima is a solitary island. It is not as though an ambulance could quickly jump in to save him. Normally, I would want to have him placed in a large hospital on the mainland, but... Father stated that he does not want his noble research interrupted. It seems he holds a grudge over the way we tried to force him out last year. Apparently, he strongly suspects that he'll be shut away in some hospital if he goes outside. And that's how things are now. Has Dr. Nanjo been examining him? Father trusts Dr. Nanjo. It seems he can be examined when in one of his better moods. I can examine his condition, but if I try to recommend medicine or hospitalization, he refuses to listen. I've really only been able to look. It's true some people hate doctors. Still, what a hassle. Nanjo sighed deeply. The purpose of an examination is to determine what medical treatment would be appropriate. Receiving an examination and then not following the advice given makes the whole thing pointless. So, to sum it up, he's still expected to live 3 months. There's no way to guess how long he'll continue to live while still on the verge of death. Rudolph-san, couldn't you be a little more discreet with your words? Probably not. Ah, sorry. I've always talked this way. Give me a break. I understand how Dr. Nanjo sees it. What about you, Kraus-Nisan? Humph. To be perfectly honest, I have to disagree with Dr. Nanjo. I find it truly difficult to think of Father as a person so sick that he has only 3 months to live. His yell is as healthy as ever, and I still get chills at the thought of his fists raining down on me. Dang. Pushing the care of your father solely on the shoulders of the eldest sibling is far from fair. Ha ha ha. In the next world, get born after me. Okay, let's get back on track. So, in the opinion of our impartial and neutral doctor, it wouldn't be odd for him to go any time. No offense to you, Anarchy, but I'd rather trust the opinion of an expert in his field. Which means it's definitely not too early to start talking about Dad's assets. Oh, this is gonna go well. Father's personal funds probably reach as high as several 10 billion yen, right? But it's not as though that's all neatly gathered as ready cash. It's not as simple as simply cutting a birthday cake with a knife. That's an interesting way to put it. That's right. You sometimes get strawberries or chocolates on top of the cake, making it hard to cleanly cut it into equal parts. They're talking in metaphors, I understand. Given that, don't you think it's important to discuss beforehand how best to stick the knife in? Interesting phrasing. I cannot understand how you can all openly discuss this as though the family head, capitalized, is dead, even though he's still alive. Come now, don't you see how important this is? After all, when the time comes, the inheritance of his fortune must be carried out immediately, right? Moreover, the glorious Ushiromiya house's wealth is vast. Don't you understand that careful discussion is necessary beforehand? There's a huge difference between this family's resources and your family's wealth. How rude! My birth family has nothing to do with this. Natsuhi responded indignantly, though in a low voice, and the already dark atmosphere grew even more hostile. Give it a rest, Eva. Natsuhi-san, forgive us. Pardon her rudeness. Hideyoshi tried to smooth things over by glancing at both with a forced smile, but it only resulted in making the hostility between Eva and Natsuhi even more intense. It seems I'll just get in the way if I stay any longer. Please excuse me. Nanjo rose from his seat and exited the parlor. To an outsider, it may have seemed like a normal act of courtesy, but his back was watched by several glances envious of his ability to escape. I feel that. After the doctor had exited and his footsteps had disappeared into the distance, Kraus recrossed his legs. How does he do that while he's standing? In other words, this is what you all would like to say. Father's remaining life is short. You want to quickly enter into a practical conference concerning the distribution of the inheritance. Why are you so eager, I wonder? Yes, I wonder. Certainly, as you say, estimating and distributing the Ushiromiya family's wealth is no simple task. In that case, shouldn't we make careful and deliberate calculations? Not if everybody dies first. It seems to me that you are all impatient to split up the cake tonight. Isn't that true, Rosa? What reason is there to be hasty? We aren't being hasty. However, we may need to have an agreement between the siblings. It doesn't matter when we do that, but if the day father's condition worsens is approaching, discussing the matter beforehand hardly seems hasty to me. Rosa shot a glance at Eva and Rudolph. As the youngest sibling in the family, it was hard for her to be cross-examined by the eldest. Assert your dominance. Oh? Is that your true opinion? I didn't expect the most honest and pure-hearted of the siblings would say something like that. I wonder if those two told you to say it. Oh. Lots of dots. Quit it, Anarchy. Rosa's one of Dad's kids too. She's got as much right to his inheritance as the rest of us. It's only natural that she'd be interested. After all, Dad'll definitely die, and that's not something that'll happen in the distant future. On the contrary, Aniki, you're way too relaxed. It almost seems like you'd like nothing better than to turn the discussion away from the inheritance issue. What do you mean by that? Are you trying to accuse my husband of something? Calm down, Natsuhi-san. Listen to what we have to say. Nii-san, I hear the times have been extremely good lately. Yes, since last year we've been in an unprecedented boom, and the yen keeps on rising. It seems that it's no longer a dream that the dollar will reach 100 yen. Also, the ruling party says that it'll establish health resort maintenance law by next year. What? At this moment, resort development companies across Japan are running about, trying to gather as much funding as they can. You certainly seem to know a lot about it. Japan is about to experience an unprecedented boom. It'll be a repeat of the Korean War demands, the time during which father revived the Ushiromiya family. The people of Japan have been working like mad, achieving vast economic growth and becoming the most well-off people in the world, reaching the height of our prosperity. We've reached an era where private spending is vast, which means easy money for institutions that can capitalize on that fact. The 3 kinds of electrical appliances no longer represent the people's needs. What? The people need ski resorts, golf courses, public pools, resort hotels, and theme parks. Have you seen how many abandoned theme parks there are lately? Have you gone to Disneyland, which opened just a few years ago? What an excellent theme park. It's a place where even an adult can be a kid and have fun with his family. Yes, Disneyland. No longer do we count our sole virtue to be selfless devotion while failing to care for our families. We have become the most prosperous people in the world, and now we can finally enjoy the benefits. Whew, they are full of themselves. Kraus-san, your foresight's nothing to sneeze at. When I heard that sort of thing several years ago, I thought it was crazy. But when I heard about the G5 Nations Plaza Accord, that all changed. The yen shot up, and I'll bet the price of land skyrockets soon as well. It won't be long before Japan becomes the economic center of the world. Yeah, I'm sure it will. You've got a great sense of direction the world's moving, Kraus-san. At least there can be no debate about that. I feel the same as Hideyoshi-san. Aniki, you can read into the next decade of history. I'll bet you got that keen sense from Dad, and it's incredible. However, unlike Dad, the timing of your predictions has been a bit off sometimes, right? Nii-san, you've been starting resort projects everywhere, convinced that Japan will soon see a boom, but almost all of them continue to fail. While I'm sure that the era you predicted will soon arrive, it seems you misread the timing of that boom. You were too early. You then panicked and then tried to sell everything off, which only opened the wound even further. If your nose was really so reliable, then there should be no reason for you to sell off your property. Is this proof that you mistrust your own ability? Oh, going for the throat. How rude! I swear to God, that's all she says. Are you trying to insult my husband? Usually followed by that. Natsuhi's forehead creased as she rose from the sofa. Eva, paying this no heed, stared at Kraus with a confident smile. Kraus, who also maintained his confident appearance, told Natsuhi to sit down. Please stop, Natsuhi. Eva's always been incapable of talking any other way. Calm down a little, or your headache will get worse. There's proof of your lack of talent right next to us. After all, Nissan, weren't you excited about turning this island into a resort? You built a wonderful resort hotel and beautifully maintained the garden. I'm just an amateur and don't pretend to understand, but you must have used a significant amount of money for that, right? And what is that to you? My husband's business is none of yours. Actually, that's not true, Natsu-san. Rokkenjima doesn't belong to Aniki. It belongs to Dad. Of course, the hotel does belong to Aniki, right? In fact, we'd be more than willing to pay lodging fees for tonight. What do you think, Rosa? Well, if what I have on hand will suffice. If I can make it into a resort, this island's financial worth will rise. It is true that expenses have piled up, but we can expect a large harvest in the future. When that happens, all of you stand to profit as well, do you not? I understand that. If the value of this island rises, that'll increase our portions when we distribute the inheritance. Of course, I won't ask you to divide the island and the mansion into 4 equal parts. We can just resolve the matter with money equal to the value of the property. If you understand that much, what about my business makes you so dissatisfied? We aren't dissatisfied, we're uneasy. In the first place, Aniki, when do you plan to open that hotel? Left this way, you won't get anything out of it except our grubby handprints, right? That's right. It's an important tool for your business, isn't it? Surely you can't keep it locked up until the moment you open it. Buildings go bad if you don't use them and air them out once in a while. Even so, it's a bit extravagant for a guest house that we only use once a year. Right, Rosa? That's right. Considering how wonderful it is, I'm sure it will become quite popular once you open it. Oh, so the hotel you keep talking about is the guest house. It's splendid. Just as Rosa said, if you were to open it, I'm sure it would become popular. Well, isn't Rokkenjima way out in the middle of nowhere? How are people going to get there? The lodging they had been guided to wasn't originally intended to serve as a guest house. It was originally constructed as a resort hotel. However, even though it was built 2 years previously, there was still absolutely no prospect of it opening. Nissan, it's just like all of your enterprises. Your attention and planning are both fabulous. Then it always becomes unmaintainable partway through and ends before you have a chance to earn any profit. You were brilliant when you saw that using this island only as a place to live was a waste. I think it was a pretty good plan to turn it into a resort that could use the prospect of marine sports, fishing, honeymoons and the like to attract customers. If I were the oldest son, I'm sure I would have strained my brain looking for a way to make a profit off this island. But 2 full years have passed since you finished building, right? After 2 years, you still haven't had the opportunity to open it. Where's the managing company you entrusted it to? Impertinence! Oh, she's getting angry. That is not my husband's fault. There has just been some trouble with the company that my husband contracted with. No matter how you look at it, we are victims here. Dang, go off. And yet, the rumors we've heard about this company you hired haven't been good at all. Oh. Let's be clear about this, dear. Did you really think we wouldn't hear about how lack of payment, embezzlement, and other issues led to the project disintegrating mid-flight? We even have evidence. Oh ho. I don't know what kind of evidence you think you've found, but it's all baseless. As new members in the tourism industry, it is necessary for us to lay the groundwork with various people. It is also important to investigate the trustworthiness of our partners. It's merely taken us some time to meet that goal. I'll admit that in my rashness, the hotel was completed too early. However, it's not as though we're paying maintenance costs. It's a foundation that will eventually become immensely significant. Liar. I'll bet you want to liquidate it, but can't. After all, there's no reason for anyone to buy such an extravagant hotel on an isolated, empty island without any established sightseeing routes. And anyway, what about all the loans you made for this project? Even if you aren't incurring maintenance costs, the borrowed money that you can't return just keeps growing. Sorry, Kraus Nissan, but I've investigated the development plan for this island a bit. To be honest, I haven't heard anything good either. Dang, they're all going in. Hideyoshi-san, I can see how you might be left with that impression by looking only at the current financial situation. However, this is a forward-looking investment. I have no choice but to admit that my prediction was mistaken, and that up until now, several liabilities have been created. However, the times have finally caught up with me. I will soon regain everything that I have lost up to this point. No, actually, all of the investments I have made up until now will finally return to my possession. That's right. Just like throwing away a small fry to catch a salmon, they will come back even bigger than before. I'll accept that. The resort business will probably see an unprecedented boom before long, though I don't know if it'll be enough to cover all your debt. However, Kraus Nissan, after all your failures in the past, who exactly do you expect to provide you with funding? And this isn't some small amount we're talking about. Indeed. You'll need enough funding to fill the massive hole you've dug. What are you trying to say, Hideyoshi-san? Ah, Natsuhi-san, please don't get angry. We looked into this too. We checked to see who might have provided Kraus Nissan with enough financing to support his recent large-scale projects, despite his string of failures. And we discovered that no such backer exists. Oh! The iron rule of the money roulette is that you bet against the loser. Aniki, you're a fairly well-known loser in this field. Dang. It's true that prosperous times are about to come, but when we looked for people who considered that enough to overlook your string of failures, and also had enough for the investment, we found no candidates. So, the big question now is where you got that money from. Alright, I'm going to end this episode here, and I'll see you again in the next one. We'll find out where that money came from. Probably not anywhere good. See ya!